Welcome to the No Mercy Business Coaching Podcast with Emily A. Woodruff, the podcast that walks you through managing your own small business through the highs and the lows. We'll talk with small business owners from all over the U.S. and share insights on how to help manage your business without the extra fluff and connect with other women just like you. Let's dive in. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again for another week on the No Mercy Business Podcast. This is your host, Emily A. Woodruff, and I have a very special guest with us today. Suzanne, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Emily. My name is Suzanne Scullion, and I am the head coach at Grace Financial Coaching. I have been working as a financial coach for about 7 years now. I've had hundreds of clients. I work with them to build stronger financial habits. I want them to be able to experience a more stable future and carefree life. I've developed an exclusive program called the GRACE Technique, and that stands for Guidance, Resources, Accountability, Communication, and Evaluation. And side note, when I'm not doing that, I host a little 20-minute YouTube show called Lessons Learned, the Dumbest Thing I've Ever Done with Money. So that's kind of fun to hear the silly things people have done with money before.
Yeah, I bet. Well, that's great. So let's just dive in. Tell me about how you decided that you needed to pursue this as a business.
Yeah, so prior,
go ahead.
No, I had no inkling of ever becoming a coach. And actually, I look back on having gone to college, 4-year private university, because, that's the only place where you can go to school.
Same.
And I know. And I have a business degree. And I think we had one class on entrepreneurship. One.
Mm-hmm.
And I distinctly remember certain people in that class, like, you just knew every time the professor spoke, that person was going to challenge them on something. And you knew that that guy next to you probably wasn't going to finish school because he was going to leave and start his own company before he graduated. I took that class and I remember being horrified. I remember being so scared, like, there's no way I could ever work for myself. I literally told myself for years I wasn't smart enough to start a business, and I didn't have the skills or the ability to do it. So I went into professional sports, actually. And then I ended up, for about 8 years, I think, 8 or 9 years. And then I went into commercial real estate from there. So always working for organizations that maybe didn't retain a lot of money, but made a lot of money working with the general public. And I was okay with that until I wasn't. I was okay with it until I wasn't. And then I went through my own little debt-free journey. I paid off almost $90,000 in a relatively short period of time, a few years. And I realized there's no way I'm the only person who's dealing with this. And the more I learned about the statistics, the more I learned that prior to COVID, 89% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And the more I learned that, I know, it's crazy. And the more I learned that, the more I realized I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the only one. And how can I help these people? So I started off by teaching a free class. And then people wanted to meet with me privately. Mm-hmm. And then they wanted to meet with me privately a month later. And so slowly but surely, I learned about the world of financial coaching. And I woke up one day and said, I'm done. I paid off all of my own debt. I had 12 months of savings sitting in the bank. And I said, even if I suck at this, and it completely crashes and burns, I'll be okay for a year. And if I'm not okay in a year, I'll go do something else.
Good for you. That's exciting. My husband and I love the idea of being debt-free. We don't love the idea of not spending money. So we have this conversation so frequently, and we'll do I'm the person that actually pays our bills and spends most of our money. He's a spender too, but I'll do really good for 6 months. And then I'm like, screw this. And then we have to just like, he has to keep, okay, Emily, this is not what we want to do. Just, I hope someday
Right.
it'll sink in for
One
me.
of the things I tell my clients when they're going through that process is we have to budget for fun,
Yeah.
because you don't want to be falling off the wagon after 6 months because you went scorched earth and you removed every fun thing from your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I work with people, if we already have a vacation planned, if we already have, if it's getting close to the holidays and we don't have enough time to save up cash for Christmas, well, what can we do to bring that dollar amount down? And what can we do to absolutely minimize what we're going to put on the credit card before we get through the holidays and we really start cranking
Yeah.
on January 1st. So like I said, you can't go scorched earth. It would literally be like a personal trainer telling you, we're going to cut out all carbs, all sugar, and all trans fat on day one. You can't sustain that.
Yeah. Well, and we fortunately, I mean, I'm going down the personal route now, I guess, but we don't use credit cards in our house. We have one as an emergency backup, and then every now and again I'll use it just to kind of keep it active sort of thing.
Yes.
And then we use it when we go on vacations, just so everything can be all together. Well, sometimes we forget that that's not like our actual money, and so it's very strange for us when we do have a credit card, but all of our debt is student debt and mortgages right now. So we feel good that we have very little credit card or, loans like that. But anyway,
yes. Student loan debt is the most popular right now. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
No one wants it, but it's definitely the most popular and the most trendy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's something that you like, if you could pinpoint one lesson that your job has taught you, what do you think that everybody should learn at some point in their life?
That the only thing stopping you from owning your own business is yourself. There are so many resources out there. It is just, I hate to use cliches and platitudes, but it really is mind over matter. One of the things that I did, we were living in San Diego I'm from New York originally, but we were living in San Diego at the time that I started my business. And one of the things I found that I couldn't believe I got to get access to was a SCORE office. SCORE is a subsidiary of the Small Business Administration. So it is a government program. So before everyone freaks out, office is totally different. And in San Diego, they wanted to branch out and do other things that the federal grant process would not allow them to do. So they stopped taking money. They cut their grant from the feds by about 50% and became self-funded. I had access to 3-hour classes with people who were running multi-million-dollar businesses. Wow. And the classes cost me $25.
That's amazing.
I can't imagine having access to that and not taking advantage of it. Now, again, every SCORE office is going to be a little bit different, but every SCORE office offers free mentoring. And so even if you are not sure if this is something you want to do, you can go to the office for free.
Yeah.
About it. Talk to somebody who started a business in 1960 something and is now retired and would love to help you, navigate those waters and to not take advantage of those resources. I also found an amazing mastermind group in San Diego. We would meet every 2 weeks, and oh my God, the stuff that I learned from those people is just, and it was free. It was free. It was just a bunch of people meeting up. So it doesn't have to be, you don't need a venture capital partner to start a business usually, if you're going to be selling something physical perhaps, but just to get an idea if it's something you want to do, you can do that for completely $0 cost.
I agree 100%. There are so many people that are afraid. They're just afraid, and it makes me so sad because you're never going to get out of where you're at if you keep letting fear rule your decisions. And I have a friend she's an author, but she's been an author for about 8 years, and she has not published her book yet. She has not published her website yet. And she keeps coming to me for advice on how to launch it. And I'm like, look, friend, you need to just hit go live.
You just need to click the button.
Yeah, I'm like, it is ready. You have all your content there. Just go live. I tweak my website probably 6 times a week. Like I'm
Wow.
constantly, I mean, I'm obsessed. But you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm always in there. I'm always trying to improve it. I've always been this way with my business. If I waited until it was ready,
Perfect. Yep.
I would never have a client. I would never have a platform. I would never have anything. What's the worst that's going to happen? People will see you grow and people will see you turn into a better version of this business that you want to have. I'm all for that. So she's my poster child and she'll yell at me when she listens to this. No, I'm calling her out, but that's why I'm not saying her name. But it's, yeah, I always
Now gotten
tell
to the
her.
point.
Yeah,
I've gotten to the point now where I coach other coaches, and
yeah,
specifically what I focus on with those coaches is not necessarily their process in coaching, because by the time they find me, they've probably gone through one of the big 3 financial coaching programs that are
yeah,
out there. And by the time they find me, they're like, okay, I finished. I have my little certificate. I'm officially a financial coach. Now what do I do?
yeah.
And their biggest challenge is finding clients. And so I work with a lot of those younger, newer coaches. I shouldn't say younger, newer coaches on marketing and social media and email newsletters and their website. And if they don't want to do a website, okay, well then we're going to, make sure you've got the best looking business Facebook page you've got out there.
Yep.
And the biggest challenge is they get inside their heads and they say, what if I put up a post and no one likes it? Do you have any idea how many posts I have put up and no one has liked?
Yeah. Welcome to social media business.
And you don't know why that post got throttled that day. You don't know why the algorithm that was working last week while you were, in the Meta software and posting on Instagram and on social and on Facebook simultaneously. We don't know why it did so well on Instagram and it totally flopped on Facebook. And then the next week it flipped around. That algorithm is changing constantly, just like Google Ads is changing constantly. And so you have to find your voice. And my biggest message to those people is, once you start it, just be consistent.
Yep.
Can't post 7 days a week for 1 week and then tell me it didn't work. You can't send out 3 email newsletters in 3 months and then tell me it didn't work.
Yep.
You've got to come back to me in a year and tell me my email newsletter didn't work. Okay, well, 12 email newsletters, maybe it didn't work.
Right. Exactly. No, I agree completely with all of that. What are some personality strengths or traits that you think somebody in your industry should have to be successful?
So funny you asked that, because I just had a little mini coaches meeting this morning. There's myself and a couple other coaches, female coaches, who have been going through this business marketing plan together. And part of the program is probably like the whole thing's like probably 4 hours or whatever.
Okay.
But we picked and choose which ones we wanted to watch. But this particular section is called the Enneagram analysis.
Oh yeah.
And so we went through mine today.
Nice.
And hearing someone talk about your strengths and weaknesses while there's other people staring at you on the screen, and no one else in that little group was an 8. I'm the only 8, and so it was like really challenging to sit there and go like, oh man, that's so me. Oh my God, this guy's pointing out all of my flaws. And these people know me and they're laughing because they're like, oh yeah, she's so like that. One of the things that the gentleman's name is Ian Morgan Cron, and he's like the lead therapist on the Enneagram. The Enneagram's been around forever, but he's like the premier author on basically the new Enneagram of people using it today. He pointed out in there that 8s, which is what I am, are very black and white. And you are either right or you are wrong in my mind. And I think one of the things that I have struggled with, and I would encourage other people who feel that way, is to recognize that there is gray.
Yeah.
If you're go into coaching, you can't look at your clients and go, you messed everything up last month. You're terrible. Why are you even doing this? You have to go, okay, well, that didn't work out the way we wanted. Let's go to the next item.
Right.
And you've got to just meet them where they are, and no one's perfect. And so that's been a challenge for me. But I think it is also something that specifically coaches, therapists, people in that field have to come to grips with.
I think that's great. And the name of my podcast is Mercy Business Coaching.
Yep.
And it's solely for that. I took one of those tests several years ago, but I very much am black and white. There is no in between. There is no maybe. There is no sometimes. Gray is very few and far between in my world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge sometimes, but it is what it is, you know?
You should jump onto his site and see if you're actually an 8 also. I bet you are.
I think that I am. It's just been a really long time for me to say that, 100%.
Yeah.
I used to know it, but then I kind of stopped paying attention to it. But I think they're really great and it's really insightful. And like you say, it feels really raw when someone else is reading it. You're like, how did you get my diary? It's great. It's great. What about, are there any well-known rumors or things that you feel like you kind of have to combat that you would be able to clear the air on about
Oh my
your
gosh.
position?
Yes, because people hear that I'm a financial coach and like 0.5% of the population will look at me and go, you charge people for financial coaching? And I want to be like, did your personal trainer charge you for those 3-hour sessions last week?
Right.
Yeah, I charge for coaching. I'm not doing this for free. I went through this process. I got certified. I've built this business. And yeah, I charge for coaching. And I think that 0.5% of the population can't, not only will they never hire a financial coach, forget about that. They'll never hire anyone to help them with anything.
Yeah.
And that could be a huge miss. Not everyone needs a business coach. Not everyone needs a therapist. Not everyone needs a financial coach. But if you are not feeling good about yourself, if you are experiencing depression, to look at a website that lists therapists and goes, oh, I can't believe these people want to charge me for therapy when I'm feeling like this.
Yeah.
That is just so counterintuitive. The other thing that I think that I provide, and this actually came up quite recently in a group that I was, a coaches group that I was in with multiple different kinds of coaches, nutrition coaches and life coaches and that kind of thing, was that there was this article going around that no one should ever pay for financial coaching and you can do it on your own. Can you do it on your own? Yeah, you can. So lose weight on your own. You can also manage your business on your own. Does that mean you're doing it the best, safest, or most efficient way possible? Absolutely not.
Right.
And I think people really underestimate the motivation factor that comes with seeing a coach for something.
Yeah.
Whether it's relationship coaching, life coaching, nutrition coaching, whatever it is, that person, knowing that you have that appointment next Tuesday, that person's going to hold you accountable if they're a good coach. And that's really the impact that you can see from doing it yourself to working with someone to complete X is astronomical.
I agree completely. I don't believe that we are created to do things on our own all the time either. I believe that we're called to community and we're called to be able to lean on one another. And there's a reason that you are gifted in financial coaching and I'm gifted in these areas, and so that we can all bring our unique gifts and talents together and be able to do something bigger than just us.
Definitely.
But that's another day's discussion.
That's another episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great though. Are there any things that have come out of your business or you having your own business that you didn't expect to encounter when you first opened or when you first started?
Probably actually really the sense of community that you're talking about. I expected, again, being this Enneagram 8, and again, I'm not really like into this. I just happen to be talking about it today.
Sure.
But I am by nature someone who actually enjoys conflict. And if I bring up baseball, I happen to be a big baseball fan. I grew up in New York. I'm a New York Mets fan. And I will sit there and argue with you over the Mets and Yankees could have the exact same record, and I will sit there and argue with you as to why the Mets season is going better and or whatever it is. I'll argue for the Yankees if I need to, but you give me a topic that is like my love language, is sitting there playing devil's advocate with people. And that has really served me well when it comes to clients, because clients tend to have they're stuck in their ways, and that's why they're reaching out to somebody to get unstuck in those ways.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't expect was the sense of community in the coaching world.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be kind of not a battle, but like, oh, everyone I talk to is a competitor, and that's so not true. I have now in the last 5 years probably referred more, like I've done a consultation with a client and then realized they are not the right person for me. And I have referred so many people to other coaches who I can look and I can say, hey, Emily, I loved our conversation, but I don't think I'm the right coach for you. I'm going to get you hooked up with my friend, Sarah. She's a great coach. Also, I really think you're going to just click with her a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Sarah's going to meet somebody and she's going to go, whoa, 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 you need Suzanne, because she's going to kick your butt and she's and it's going to come back to us. And so looking at other coaches like we are all in competition with each other is crazy. I actually run a coaches meetup in this area where I live right now. Neat. And I think we had like 20 people there last time.
That's so great.
And we had such a great time. So I think I underestimated the sense of community in the coaching community itself when I started doing this. I thought I was going to be all on my own.
Mm-hmm. That's really neat. I don't think I asked you, where are you located now?
We are stationed in Virginia Beach. So my husband's active duty military. So we're right outside of the naval base in Norfolk.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything additional that you would want our listeners to know about you and your business?
I think that when it comes to financial coaching, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if you were like me and you had $90,000 in debt and you were by yourself and you had to figure out how to pay this off as a single person. It doesn't matter if you're already living debt free. It doesn't matter if I'm working with someone right now who's literally about to retire in 6 months. It doesn't matter where you are. There's always stuff that can be tweaked now so that when you look back in 5 years, you go, wow, I am really happy I sat down with that financial coach, because look how the trajectory has changed.
Yeah.
Now, that means paying off $90,000 in mostly credit card debt, full disclosure.
Sure.
At back then, 19.99%. Nowadays, you can 29.99%, which is just insane.
Yeah.
I look back at my own journey, and I know that the two things that changed my life the most were committing to the habit of utilizing budget software and hiring a coach. And if I hadn't done those two things, I would still be at that like halfway point in my debt. I wouldn't have paid it off all the way. So I think it doesn't matter where you are in your financial journey. You can always tweak things, change things, and do better, so that in 5 or 10 years, you're super happy you did.
That's great. That's really great. Well, where can our listeners find you and connect with you online?
Yes, I am at gracefinancialcoaching.com. That's definitely the easiest way. And the first thing you'll see on there is a little button that says to set up a consultation. So if anybody's interested in talking about financial coaching and how it could help them, that's the best place to find me. And then on Facebook and Instagram at Grace Financial Coaching as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was really great to meet you. And
thanks, Emily. This was awesome.
Yeah. Before we go, I just wanted to reach out real quick. A lot of you have talked about starting your own podcast and you're just not sure where to start. I wanted to let you know that Libsyn is an awesome platform, and right now they have a great deal for you to join. If you use the code Woodruff, WOODRUFF, you can get in at a great rate and get started today. Feel free to shoot me an email or send me a message if you have any questions. I would love to walk you through starting on your own. Thanks for listening to the No Mercy Business Coaching and Consulting Podcast with Emily A. Woodruff. We specialize in branding and design for women, by women.